Hi guys, and welcome back to part 2 of developing a credible engineering argument. So today I'm going to be discussing Toulmin's model of argument with you. You have been introduced to it in the textbook, but I want to spend a little bit of time explaining how that model works and also how you should use it in your assignments for class. So we're going to go through some questions to guide argument development. And I'll be speaking a little bit about how you can use these questions to help guide your argumentation development process for your best practices assignment. And we'll be speaking specifically about how some of these argumentation strategies will play into your arguments for the best practices assignment, but you should also use them to refer to later assignments as well, in reference to later assignments. Okay, so let's get right down to it. So basically, Toulmin's model of argument is a flowchart. It's presented as a flowchart here. Now, the top of the flowchart, you see grounds. What this basically means is some pre-work that you will have done in order to develop your claim. So the grounds aren't necessarily present in the argument that you're going to be presenting in your papers. They aren't necessarily present or overtly directly stated in arguments in engineering, but they're extremely important because that's how you will developmentally come to your claim and decide on what your claim is. So obviously, if there aren't grounds for your claim, then it's going to be very difficult to support that claim later on. Okay, so moving on from the grounds, or foundations, you could say, then we have the claim. No matter what types, large or small, you have the claim that comes next, and it needs to stand on those grounds. It needs to be well-founded, right? And this claim is this assertion that has some significance in your argument. It might be that one practice is better than another. Those are going to be, in fact, some of the key claims that you're going to be making in your best practices paper. So then you can see coming up from the bottom of claims in these two arrows, you have justification and evidence. And we've discussed this, Don and I discussed this in the last video, how justification and evidence are used to support the claims. So they're kind of supporting the claims there in the graphic as well. You could also see that it goes both ways for evidence, right? Evidence can support claims. You could also use evidence to support the justification for the claims. Okay, and then qualifier is out here on the side, and this basically just limits the claim, right? Because if a claim is too general, it could be difficult to support that claim. Whereas if you qualify the claim, a specific number or a majority, this is true a majority of the time, or this is true 50% of the time, that may be true. Whereas if you say this is true all of the time, that's not true, right? You can't prove that, but you can prove that something is true 50% of the time, let's say. So that's a qualification of the claim, or some limitation you put on the claim to strengthen it. And then down at the bottom, you'll see the little block representing rebuttal. And this is this opposing arguments. What could be said to refute this claim or weaken the evidence supporting the claim, or weaken the justification for the claim? So you want to be sure to take into account those possible rebuttals and go ahead and address them, because that's going to strengthen your overall argument if you are already taking possible counter arguments into account and making sure that they have been properly responded to. So we're going to expect that you do that too. Okay, moving on. So questions to guide your argument development. These are listed in the text. And I'll go through them quickly here. And these are questions that you want to ask yourself as you're assessing your claims, so that you can continue to go back and forth and try to strengthen your claims and see where there might be holes in your claims. Is it clearly stated That's pretty important. Are each of the supporting claims clearly stated? Okay, everything should be clearly stated. Is their relationship to the main claim clear? Okay, precise, precision in language, clarity, always going to be important. Is the relationship between the claims and their support, whether logical justification or factual evidence, solid? Okay, so is there a really clear connection that can be made between that justification and evidence to support the claim? If it's kind of shaky what that connection is, it's not going to be effective justification or evidence. How much assurance do you have of the claim? What qualifiers are necessary and appropriate? Okay, I think that one speaks for itself. What are the possible objections? Have you responded to these appropriately? And that's referring to those rebuttals or potential counter arguments and responses. Okay, so asking yourself these questions will help you to go ahead and check the effectiveness of your argument. And we're going to be doing that as your managers and instructors as well to check the effectiveness of your argument. Finally, this last slide discusses how this will pertain specifically to your best practices assignment. Okay, so in your assignment, you're going to be developing grounds in pre-drafting. So you're going to be doing research, design, experimentation, and calculations, etc. before you develop your claims. That all comes first. After that, you need to understand the key claims that you're making so that you can make them clear. You can identify them and support them well. And you're going to need to choose your methods intentionally. What do you need to explain? Who are you writing this for? You know, your stakeholders' points of view come into play. What is going to be convincing? What kinds of sub-claims and evidence will also help to strengthen your claim? Be sure to use correct and abundant documentation of your sources. We are looking for citations from research used to support your claims. Okay, be sure to qualify. Make sure that your claims are appropriately limited and delineated. Think about counter arguments. You might also get some counter arguments from researching different ways that things have been done. And then you're going to want to make sure to treat these counter arguments seriously and respond to them seriously and respectfully, because that's going to add to your credibility overall. Finally, remember that the document is intended for your stakeholders, so address them as appropriate. Use a purpose statement and transitions throughout your document to make sure that it's clear why you're presenting the information that you are and who you're presenting it to. All right, so that's it for this video. Remember that if you have questions, please don't hesitate to bring them up to me or Dawn or your managers so that we can help you sort this out. All right, good luck.